Ladies and gentlemen, are you having a hard time climbing through the rank system with bad teammates? You see, bad teammates seem to be everywhere, but in this video, I'm going to tell you the easy way to carry your bad teammates each and every time straight to a victory. Speaking of carry, GameLeap.com has all the tools that you need in order to carry on any character that you want to. Whether it's Genji, Widowmaker, Ana, or Ryan, we have the in-depth guide for you, so do yourself a favor and go check it out. Anyways, without further ado, let's just jump right into it, shall we? So the first easiest way in order to carry in ranked is actually get a duo partner. Now I know you're gonna say, what does a duo partner have to do with carrying in your games? Well, the thing is, if you have a duo partner, you at least know that one other person on your team is gonna be at least a little bit competent. You can find someone that's on the same page as you, find someone who doesn't tilt, and work together to accomplish your goal. Basically, you get to handcraft another player on your team, which is the best thing that you could possibly do, and getting away from the dark depths of solo queue will feel far better than trying to carry your entire team of randoms. Now, while you can stack in 3 stacks, I would never suggest stacking more than 3, and here is the one reason. Smurfs. I brought this up in the previous video, but it's really important for you to understand, if you stack more than 3 people, you are extremely likely to go up against 4, 5, and 6 stacks, and those stacks will almost always have a Smurf in them. And while you definitely can carry games, carrying games versus Smurfs is incredibly difficult, so do yourself a favor, do not stack more than 3 people, and frankly, I would highly suggest to just get the perfect duo partner. Now, the second thing that you need in order to hard carry bad teammates is play a character that gets impact without the thing that you are missing in your team. Let's say hypothetically you have poor tanks, no one that is making any space. Well, a character like McCree, who needs constant frontline pressure to be effective, is gonna be a straight up no-go. Instead, why not play a diver or someone that can flank and get value like Soldier or Tracer, so that you don't have to play behind a non-existent frontline because you have bad tanks. Now, let's say in the next example you have bad supports. Well, playing a character that's self-sufficient like Reaper can be really good because you don't need as much resources from your supports, so they can focus on other things, making the job easier on them, making it so that not only are they having an easier job, it allows them to still be effective and do their job because it's going to be easier overall, and you still get value regardless of their skill level. Now, for the third example, let's say your DPS can't break shields, they're not focusing the shields at all. Well, you could either play a tank that helps add to the damage of breaking a shield, like a Sigma or a Roadhog, or you could just play a character that just ignores the shield and just dives in, like a Winston or a Wrecking Ball. The choice is yours depending on what they're playing. Now, for the last example I'm going to give you, what if your DPS are too aggressive? Well, you could play a support like Brig that can armor pack them and bail them out of their over-aggressive playstyle, or you could play a character that goes in and is aggressive with them like Lucio, and adopt an aggressive playstyle so you chase down kills, Lucio or Zen. Essentially, the point of all these examples is just to understand that you need to identify what you are missing and what you don't have with the bad players on your team, and then play characters that can still operate and get impact even without that thing. Now, the third thing that you could do in order to solo carry with bad teammates is go above and beyond with comms. You would be surprised how often people will just listen to strong calling if you call routing strategies, or even calling when your allies need heals. Sometimes you'll have an ally that is like at 50 HP but won't say a single word. Saying in third person, hey, my Ryan needs heals, or hey, Ryan needs heals, that can help your team know who they need to peel. Now, another thing that you could do with comms is actually take the blame if you want them to switch up a comm. Now, while you could say something like, Ryan, stop feeding, swap off, that is probably not going to get the result that you're looking for. Instead, you could say, hey, I can't get any value on McCree, I'm kind of playing bad. Can we play Dive instead? I'm a really good Genji, he's actually the only character I think I could get value on. Now, you see what I did there, right? What I basically did is I shifted the blame onto me, and I kind of suggested we swap it up without blaming anybody, because at the end of the day, I can blame myself, that's just fine. But if I blame other people and they get tilted and they don't want to swap, that is the way that you ensure that they keep doing what they're doing and they keep feeding like they have been. Now, the last thing is just to call out macro strats like save blade for Nana, or don't use any more ults, the fight is won, or the fight is lost. These are big call outs that oftentimes the problem with players when they start feeding is they just autopilot the game, right? They don't even care, they're just autopiloting. But if they hear your voice yelling at them, hey, don't use ults, don't use ults, then they'll be like, oh, okay, I shouldn't use ults, I should listen to the voice in my head. Essentially, you're like their Cortana or whatever. But what I'm saying is you snap them out of that autopilot and you just tell them a clear, concise call that they usually will listen to. Now, moving on to the fourth thing that you need in order to carry bad teammates is pick a character that can fill the weakness or protect a weak member on your team. If you have a player that is constantly getting farmed, then you could do a lot of things to help that player. You could either play something that can protect them or give them an unfair advantage. For example, let's say you have a DPS like a McCree that consistently keeps losing the McCree versus Tracer matchup. Now, if you give that McCree 2 times or 3 times the pocket that the enemy DPS has, then they can win the matchup even if in reality they're way worse than the enemy DPS. What I'm saying is you protect that team member so then when they're not under threat, they can just do the regular job and they're not under pressure, but you basically protect the weakness that your team member has. It's almost like you're dragging up that bad member of your team and making it so they will get value regardless of their skill level. Now, the fifth thing that you need to do in order to carry any bad player you come across. In fact, if you do this, you won't even come across any bad players on your team, and that's smash the like button. Ha! Gotcha. Anyways, all joking aside, the fifth thing that you need to do is shut down the enemy carry. Sometimes there's one member on the enemy team. It could be a tank, a support, but typically it's a DPS and it is giving you a super hard time on your team. Maybe it's a Widow that's just clicking heads, or maybe it's a Genji in your backline. It could even be a Hammond that is just uncontested. You need to take it among yourself to shut down the enemy's carry. Make it your mission to shut that person down so that your team gets freed up and can function. Either fight in the mirror like a Widow v Widow scenario, or swap to the hard counter like playing Sombra against Wrecking Ball. Whatever you have to do to shut down the enemy's carry so that your team don't even have to deal with it and they can start pulling their own weight because they're not being held down or oppressed by this enemy carry. Now, the sixth tip that I have for you is don't blame your team. Always think about doing more. Now, I know that this is a solo carrying bad teammates, and we already identified that we're going to have bad teammates some of the time, but what you need to do is imagine that you are the person that is going to do it all, who's going to make the plays, who's going to make the difference. If you want a hard carry like someone that is smurfing wood, then you just can't blame your teammates, especially if they're bad. You need to understand that you need to carry even if they're bad. Now, give it your all, hard carry them, and avoid them on the backswing, and then farm them in the later rounds when you go up against them. So that is the way that you win on both sides of the exchange. You carry when they are on your team, and then you avoid them and still dominate them when they're on the enemy team. Now, moving on to tip number 7, this is make sure that you always warm up so that you're playing at your peak. Practicing against bots, tryhard free-for-all, gun game if you're a flex player, on a paintball for your Ana mechanics, Widow headshot for your Widow 1v1s, etc, etc, etc. Make sure that you warm up. Make sure that you always warm up before you play. Warm up until you're playing to the point you're comfortable so that you're playing at your peak in game. How are you supposed to carry and pop off if you're not playing as good as you possibly can? Make sure you're warm before you enter any competitive game. Now, moving on to the 8th thing that you need to do, and this is pretty simple. It's confirm solo kills. This is perhaps the easiest way to carry regardless of the role. You get solo kills, you will win games. Even a terrible team can pull through in a huge numbers advantage. Look to make aggressive plays that create numbers advantage, and then go in with your team so that even if your teammates feed and die, you can use their pressure in order to secure more kills and more value and win the team fight. Now, moving on to tip number 9, you should rely on the power of ultimates. Ultimates can help you force through fights with a powerful ult or an ult combo. Even poor teammates can drag in, follow up your grab with a dragon, or follow up your EMP with a shatter. It is pretty simple, and all they have to do is press Q. All you have to do is vocalize and try to combo with anyone in the game that will listen, but if you have a partner, you can make sure to combo with that partner again and again. I've said this before, but I'll say it again. Ult first, ult fast. Do not give your teammates an opportunity to die or feed before you ultimate combo, make sure that you lock it in the bag, get that numbers advantage, because that is the thing that will win the most team fights, is numbers advantage. So make sure that you're ulting to get that numbers advantage, not ulting from behind trying to win a losing team fight. Now let's move on to the 10th and final thing, and this might be the most important thing. If you want to carry every single bad teammate that you come across, do not let trying to carry turn into you throwing. Now, oftentimes, a person like you will try to carry incredibly hard, and it works in some capacity, but then you start to overextend, and then you start to die. And guess what? Now you are the bad teammate. Sometimes your teammates might seem bad at first, but all they need is a morality boost, or they need to understand that the game is winnable. All you need to do is shut down the enemy carry, make one good call or one good play, and it could whip them back into shape. Don't let you trying to chase the idea of carrying your team turn into you becoming the thrower as a result. That is the worst thing that could possibly happen. Still make sure that you're playing well and solid and not getting punished, and only then can you carry your team. Do not let the idea of carrying your team turn into you just becoming that bad teammate that we all want to not be. Do not let it happen to you. Speaking of carrying bad teammates, GameLeap.com has all the tools you need step by step in order to carry any bad teammates you come across. Do yourself a favor, go check it out in the links down below and be well on your way to become absolutely broken. Anyways, I hope this guide has been extremely helpful for you. If there's any questions, comments, or concerns, or if there's any video ideas you want to see, definitely let me know in the comments down below. Anyways, that's all I got for you today. I'm Coach Mills, and of course, until next time,